founder, president of SermonView. And Larry and I go back a long, long ways. We kind of knew of each other before we knew each other. I won't get into that story. We did early teen ministry at the Washington Conference Camp meeting together for a number of years, had a great time. And I'm just excited that Larry is in this evangelism marketing space and that we have the opportunity to work together. So Larry, just talk to everybody here from your heart and from your passion and how you see SermonView being a part of this.
Yeah. Well, yeah, thank you, Byron. SermonView is a ministry that's dedicated to helping introduce people from your community to your church. So we do that in a number of different ways. When you do an evangelistic event, for example, whether it's a reaping series, a full message prophecy series, or if you're doing a parenting seminar or an archaeology seminar, if you're doing an event, we can do marketing using direct mail. We use online advertising, use outdoor banners and road signs to let people in your community know about the event. And then we have a registration platform for people to be able to sign up, reserve seats. And then we also have attendance tracking software to help you through the process of that event. So event marketing is a big piece of what we do. When a church is doing an evangelistic event, we can help introduce people to you. The other major thing that we do is what we call Bible study lead generation. So we have found that we can go into almost any community in North America and find people in that community that are interested in studying the Bible with you. And so we have a program called LeadGenerator, which is a year-long program that we use online advertising methods to invite people to request Bible studies. We then pass those names on to you. You make the introduction, you reach out, you say that you're the person that's been asked to make contact and provide the Bible study information, and then you're off to the races. From there, you're handling the Bible study as if it was any other Bible study. Those are the two main things that we do. Lately, we've been getting into church websites as well, but that's less relevant to what we're talking about today. I'll tell you, my passion is the local church. I believe that the local church is the heartbeat of ministry for the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And everything that we do at SermonView is focused on the local church. And when we partner with an organization like the Texas Conference, we're doing this in order to support the local churches that are participating in the program. We're focused on you. We're not focused on the conference. And obviously the conference has its needs and we want to meet those needs as well. But ultimately, we're working together to support you in your ministry and your outreach in your local community. I am an entrepreneur, and I have a degree, an MBA from one of the top entrepreneurship schools on the West Coast. I actually just got Entrepreneurship Magazine today, saw that it was listed as the #1 entrepreneurship school on the West Coast, University of Washington. And I've done a number of startups. I was involved in tech marketing for several years after I got my MBA. Innovation is really my passion. And about, over 20 years ago, God brought me into this space where I'm helping churches with their evangelism. And this is a confluence of things that I'm interested in. I want to help churches be more effective, and I love innovation. And when you marry those two things together, innovation is not about innovation in and of itself. I find it fun, but ultimately it's not about the innovation. It's about improving effectiveness. You want to innovate in order to improve effectiveness. I just read an article today that talked about creativity and ideas and where those come from and how to have great ideas. And basically the bottom line of this article was you need to try a lot of things and iterate rapidly. And when something's not working, stop and do something else. The best way to write, this article is saying the best way to write great symphonies is to write a lot of symphonies. The best way to write a great article is to write a lot of articles. And so at SermonView, we're committed to the innovation process, and we try lots and lots and lots of different things. I've made almost every mistake that you can imagine when it comes to evangelism and when it comes to marketing, and especially when it comes to evangelism marketing. But that's not failure, that's learning. And so when we're going through this innovation process, this entrepreneurial journey together on this project with the Texas Conference, with you guys as local church leaders, understand that our goal is improving the effectiveness of evangelism. We want to reach more people. We want to make more and better disciples of Jesus through what you guys are doing. It's no secret that the effectiveness of traditional Adventist evangelistic methods have been declining as cultural shifts have taken place, as changes in society have happened. Our methodologies are not as effective as they once were. But what's really important to understand is just because they're not as effective doesn't mean that they are not the most effective method possible. But the only way to know that is to try lots and lots of different things. Over the last decade and a half, SermonView has handled over 6,000 marketing campaigns on behalf of churches, and we've done some really creative stuff that didn't work. We've done some really creative stuff that worked okay. And through all of this, we've really dialed in our ability to help you be as effective as possible. So in this project with the Texas Conference, there are two specific points of innovation that we're going to be looking at. And you guys, as our pilot churches, are going to be crucial in helping us to test some of these things. And as we learn, then we'll be able to deploy them to more churches and scale this program more widely in the Texas Conference and beyond outside of Texas as well. There's two specific points of innovation. And when I say points of innovation, these are questions that we have, and we're going to try some things and see how they work. We're going to define clearly what success looks like, what we call the success metrics, and we're going to measure those. And if something works, we're going to keep it. And if it doesn't work, we're not going to keep it. So the 2 points of innovation, the two things that we've seen as issues. The first is when it comes to online evangelism, the difficulty has been translating an online engagement into a face-to-face relationship. Church is a social experience, and there's a vertical component to it between you and God, and there's theology and there's biblical belief, and that's important. But church is fundamentally a social experience. If you just have that vertical component, that's called discipleship. That's you and God. That's a personal retreat. Jesus said, where 2 or 3 are gathered together, there I am with you. And when 2 or 3 are gathered, that's when you have church. And when 2 or 3 are gathered, you have a social component to that. So there's this horizontal social component to church. And evangelism needs to account for this. It's not just spreading Bible truth. It's not just helping people understand the biblical perspective on different topics like, you know, the end of the earth, or the state of death, or the Sabbath, or health. It's not just about helping people understand this mentally or even emotionally. Until your evangelistic process accounts for how to integrate those people into the social dynamics of a local church, you're not done. And what we found through the COVID experience, we did a lot of experimentation with online evangelism, and some of it was quite effective, but we still had a difficulty in connecting people into a local church. Because from my perspective, until someone is actively engaged in the life of a local church, our job in terms of evangelism is not done. It's not just teaching people Bible truth. So it's not just doing online Bible studies and then saying, great, God bless you. We need to find a way to bridge the gap from that online experience into a local church. We want to move from an online interaction to a face-to-face engagement in a local Seventh-day Adventist church. So one of the things that we're going to be looking at, we're going to be experimenting with some methods. We're going to be equipping you with some tools and a framework, a mindset for when you're interacting with someone in this online space. What can you do to help move that relationship forward into an in-person interaction? So that's the first thing. And then the second point of innovation that we're looking at, some of you may have participated in some of the bridge events that the Voice of Prophecy has done over the years. Shadow Empire, A Pale Horse Rides, Final Empire, The Appearing. These are projects that we worked with them on, and the delivery methodology of a video, about half an hour, 30 to 40 minute video, followed by a guided discussion, was a really effective way of building relationships. So you offer something of value, high production value with this video, you invite people to come see it, and then you have this guided discussion where you're actually building relationship through this conversation, and then afterwards, you're having conversations with your guests. This methodology, this delivery modality has never been used in a full message evangelistic series. So we're going to be developing content. Byron's working on developing content, and there's going to be 3 aspects to the delivery of the evangelistic message. The first is going to be a video that Byron's going to be putting together. Then it's going to be followed by a guided discussion that someone in your local church will be leading. So the professionalism, the production value of these videos adds credibility to Byron, but he's going to be transferring that credibility over to somebody in the local church, because you don't want people to be building a relationship with Byron. They need to be building a relationship with you. So this guided discussion has been proven as a method to transfer that credibility into that local church. And so we're going to be trying this out in a full message series to see how that works. And then the third thing is that we're going to be putting together a podcast on each topic that people can then connect with after they leave the experience of the church environment. So they got the video, they got the guided discussion where there's the social support that people are talking together about answering questions and filling in their study guides. And then the ability for people to be able to then follow up and listen to a podcast on that same topic that Byron and I will be putting together. So those are the 2 points of innovation: how to bridge the gap between online engagement and an in-person face-to-face encounter, and then trying out these delivery methods with the video, the guided discussion, and the podcast for sharing the Bible truth through these methods. So those are the 2 main points of innovation that we're going to be working on. All right, I think I've used up enough time. Did I say everything that I needed to, Byron? Did I hit the key points?
Yeah, I think you did a great job, Larry. I know there'll be questions at the end, and we can probably touch base on things that we might not have got, but I think that's a great overview. Thank you so much.
Great. So I want to pass this over to Sarah, and she's going to be telling you more about this LeadGenerator program and the way that it interacts with the interest tracker software. And she's going to go into some detail about how that's all going to work. Every one of your churches, as a pilot church in this program, the Texas Conference is paying for LeadGenerator for a year for you to be able to use this. They're also paying for some add-on modules for interest tracker. Sarah's going to be telling you more details about this, but I wanted to give you that background that the Texas Conference is giving this to you as because you're participating in this pilot program. So Sarah, take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Larry. And before I jump into talk about what LeadGenerator is, I do want to let you know, Lori is going to be moderating our time here tonight. So she has put a message in the chat, just kind of lets you know, use the chat system for any technical issues. Once we cover what LeadGenerator is, interacting with leads, some training on interest tracker, very brief, we're going to open it up to questions and answers. So we'll be answering those live, and you can put those questions in the Q&A. Just put those in. Now, some of the questions may get answered directly to you in your question. Other ones will get pushed through, and we'll save those for the end, and then we'll answer them live. So so go ahead and use those. We're also recording this, so we'll send it out to you. We'll send out some other training on interest tracker as well. So we're going to make sure that you also have a phone number to reach us with any additional questions that come up afterwards. So all right, so I will jump in now to LeadGenerator. So what is LeadGenerator? Larry kind of touched on it a little bit, but what it is it's an online advertising campaign that introduces you to people in your community who are expressing an interest in learning more about God or the Bible, or both. So these ads are run on the campaign is run on an annual basis, and it guarantees a set number of Bible study requests every month through these online ads. So what happens is somebody's going to be on their social media platform. These are primarily going to be run on Facebook and Instagram. Some of the larger campaigns are going to be run on Google as well. But we see the majority of the leads coming in from Facebook and Instagram. So that's what where a lot of them are going to come from. When somebody is on online and they see an ad pop up and click on it, they are then going to click through about 4 pages to confirm their request before that ever gets submitted to you. So so as you get them and you have these interactions, you can know that these are not submitted by accident. So somebody had to hand type in their address, their phone number, their email address, all of those things before it got sent over to you. And then once they submit that request, they get a confirmation email letting them know that their request has been received and that somebody is going to be reaching out to them. And then you're going to get notified as well, and we'll come back to that here in a second. Now, the ads are going to be run under the account of My Free Bible Study, which is an account that we have, and it's not run under your church name. It's not run under the conference church name. And it's not identified as an Adventist account at all. And we do that intentionally. We want there to be a little bit of separation from any denomination or anything like that to prevent any kind of bias or any previous experience that somebody may have had. Although it's unfortunate, we know that not everybody's experience with church or with somebody from a church has always been positive, and we don't want that to be reflected on you. We want to let you make your introduction and show them who you are without any other interference. So, so with that being said, when you reach out to meet this person who's requested the Bible study, we recommend that you introduce yourself as a local representative or a local Bible coach from My Free Bible Study. So up to that point, that's the only name that they've seen. We don't want to create any confusion or anything by throwing in a different name. So we just suggest that you introduce yourself from that and avoid any confusion. So once somebody responds to the ad, we mentioned that they get their confirmation email that serves as an introduction and confirmation for them. Their information then gets sent to the church, and that's going to happen one of 2 ways. Somebody's going to get a confirmation email letting them know that they have a new Bible study request, and then that person's information all gets imported into Interest Tracker, where you're going to see the theme of the ad that they responded to and be able to assign it to somebody on your team. All of that, we'll come back to that here shortly. But One other thing I just want to mention before we pass this over to Byron is that no specific Bible study is advertised. So there's no specific study that they're looking to, that they're going to be expecting to receive, but each ad has a theme. So you might have a theme of God cares, you might have a theme of Bible prophecy. And so you're going to probably have best results when you choose a Bible study that matches the theme of the ad that they responded to. You can also use that to get a sense of what drew them to respond in the first place. Typically, we find ourselves seeking God or turning to the Bible when we have circumstances going on in our life or see them happening in the world that just feel like they're out of our control and leave us at the end of ourselves. So getting a sense of what the theme of the ad was will kind of help give you a little bit of insight into where they are at when they responded. So I know Byron's going to talk a little bit about Bible studies as well, so I'm not going to go any further with that. But what I'll do is go ahead and turn this over to you, Byron, and let you take over.
Sorry, I had myself muted. Great. Thank you, Sarah. That's really exciting to have these things come real time to your local church. What I want to do, and I don't have this set up in a PowerPoint or anything, but I can send a document out to all of you if you're interested in that later. What I want to do is just walk through how do you connect with the people once you receive that email with the lead information. And if they fill out everything in the sign up for the Bible study, there's a lot of good information there for you. But one of the first things that we want to be aware of is considering that person who's behind that email. It's not just an email, it's not just an electronic document or a piece of paper. There's an actual person there that we need to be thinking about. And obviously, probably from the name, you'll be able to figure out whether it's a male or a female. And again, right away, this begins shaping how we relate to the people. We have to remember that they're coming from all walks of life. They're coming from all religious comfort levels. Some of them might be super dedicated Christians and like totally into Bible study and just want to add to that. Others may not really have any exposure to that at all and are just kind of launching in and experimenting with this for the first time. And so it's in our first interactions with the people, it's very important that we're sensitive to them and that we kind of gauge them and listen to them and respond to them as we read body language, as we try to listen well and ask the sorts of open-ended questions that can help us get to know them better. When you begin to follow up the leads, I just want to mention that we want to do this in teams of 2 people. Jesus sent his disciples out 2 by 2, and that's really the best method for doing that. It's important that the teams are either male only, 2 guys, female only, 2 gals, or to me, the kind of best team is a husband and wife. If you can get a husband and wife together, following up and making contact, that's just beautiful, because it doesn't matter if it's a male or a female. There's that dual connection point, and it really provides a great lead in for that contact. Now, when they get the email or confirming their Bible study request, it gives them the option to give their age, or their when they register, the form gives them the option to give their age, their church's name, the denomination, and other kinds of information. Often that's blank, but you do want to make sure that when you open the email, you read all the way down through it to gather as much information as you can. You want to mentally prepare yourself as best you can by looking at what's there, because if they give some of that, age, church denomination information, it can be really helpful. Because, for example, you're going to prepare yourself mentally a lot differently to visit a 60-year-old Baptist guy versus a 35-year-old non-denominational Christian woman. It's going to be a whole different dynamic, and you can actually prepare yourself mentally for that by looking at that information if it's there. And if person indicates no affiliation, that may also give you cues. So you want to be sensitive and pay attention to that, and take note if it's there, and how you can use that. When I follow up Bible study leads, I like to do my best to match the gender of the team with the gender of the Bible study lead. If that's not possible, it's okay. 2 guys can visit a gal at the door, 2 gals can visit a guy at the door. So that's not a hard and fast rule, but it does help to match genders as best we can as we go along. If you have a husband and wife team, no problem at all, either way. Now, what I want to just touch on is, how do we then make the first contact? Your lead generator packet is going to come with instructions on how to make contact with your Bible study interest. It gives you options of doing that by phone, by text message, and by email. And I just want to give you my experience in this, and probably save you a lot of time and effort. I used when we began this project in Richardson, when I was still pastoring there, I used all 3 of those methods to try to make initial contact: phone, text message, and email. I did not meet, and we did not, in general, as we followed this up beyond just myself, we did not meet with much success in making the initial contact via those methods. There was a low response rate. People wouldn't, the phone call would always go to voicemail. I'd leave a voice message. They would never return the call. Didn't respond to emails or text messages. So my best success, I immediately, after I saw that, after several attempts, I pivoted to making this an in-person visit right from the get-go. I began bypassing, skipping all the emails, phone messages, and everything. I just went right in person with a partner to follow up the leads in person at the home, and found way better success. It just really, there's no comparison between. And so I want to encourage you, since the whole point of this is establishing a personal relationship, face-to-face relationship with someone, don't think that you can just do your work electronically in cyberspace. It's got to be that in-person contact. And so just some quick thoughts here that you might want to take note of. The sooner you follow the lead up, the less explaining about who you are and what you're doing you'll have to do when you get to the door. Because people will remember, they'll remember that they signed up for this Bible study yesterday or 2 or 3 days ago, or whatever the case. And so the sooner that you do that, it's fresher in their minds, and they'll make the connection much more rapidly. The longer the time that goes by, you might just have to be prepared to, explain who they are, remind them who you are more, remind them that they signed up for these Bible studies via Instagram or whatever it was that they used to do that. So the sooner, the less explaining, makes it easier for you. I always dress in business casual. I don't wear a tie, but I wear a collared shirt of some sort, and some sort of dress slacks, just business casual, because people are always, all of us, when a stranger comes to the door, we've got big questions about that. And what we want to do is be able to communicate credibility and comfort right at the outset. And that even happens just by the way we're dressed, and people first see us before we say anything. So that's what I would recommend is business casual that gives you a professional appearance, and lets folks know, you're not some scammer or something like that for the most part. I also always wear the lanyard. The lead generator kit will come with a couple of lanyards with cards on them that say "My Free Bible Study." as an identifier. I always wear that lanyard, and I have it there around my neck. And I also always print out the email that I received with that interest's name and request and information, and I bring it with me to the door along with the first 2 Bible studies. So I always take the first 2 Bible studies that we're going to be offering them in fulfillment of their request, and I take the email so that if they're confused about something, I can always show them the email and say, here's the information that you signed up for, and they can actually look and see that physically. So those are the things I do to prepare for following up the leads. Then once people once you're at the door and you ring the doorbell, what I want to encourage you to do is make it a point, after you ring the doorbell, step back from the door so that there's some space. That's more non-threatening to people. Also, don't talk to your partner. Both of you need to stand there silently smiling and just wait for the door to be answered, particularly since people nowadays have the cameras and video recorders right there at the door. And when you ring their doorbell, it's recording you and they'll hear everything you say. So very important that you don't talk and that you just smile and wait for them to answer the door. Or if they do talk to you through their camera at the door, their doorbell device, then you'll want to respond to them through that as well. But so what I do is I step back from the door, I wait for the door to get answered, and then when they answer the door, here's what I say. Let's say I'm visiting Bob, and he signed up for Bible studies, and so I'm responding to Bob's request. And so I say, hi, I'm Byron from My Free Bible Study. This is my friend Sven, and are you Bob? And I wait for their response, and then they'll respond and say, yeah. And so then I say, great. Again, I'm from My Free Bible Study. I'm responding to your request. And I'll be just a few minutes. I'll take just a few minutes of time. Is this a good time for you? And then I wait for their response to that. And so it's important in that first interaction to make sure that they know who you are, why you're there, how long you'll be. That's the first 3 things they want to know: who you are, why you're there, and how long you're going to be. So I want to cover that in my first interaction. I'm Byron. I'm from My Free Bible Study, responding to your request. I'll just be a few minutes. Is this a good time? And then, the vast majority of the time they'll say, yeah, this is fine. And so then I go on to say, I stopped by to deliver the first 2 Bible studies in the series that you requested online. Here they are. And I hold out the Bible studies and show them to them. And I say, let me show you how they work. And so for different Bible study guides, if it's Amazing Facts lessons or Voice of Prophecy lessons, you'll you'll show them the pictures, explain the question and answer format, and then show them the quiz section or the response section at the back. If it is written lessons that you're using, you again show them the format, how it asks a question, but then they need to look up a Bible verse and fill in the blanks for the answer. So I like to take a few minutes to show them the lesson right there at the door, walk them through how it works and how they can respond to it. And then once I'm done with that, I'll say to them, do you have any questions about this? And I wait, obviously, for their response. Then I go on to say, what I'd like to do is leave these lessons with you for you to look through them over this week. And then I'd like to come back in about a week with the next 2 lessons in the series to drop off for you. Is this a good time for me to do that? Or would you prefer a different time? And so again, I wait for their response in terms of, if this is an okay time, we'll just set it to drop by again that week. If they prefer a different evening, we work that out with them. Then after that, you're about ready to wrap up the visit. And so then I say this: When a request comes to me, I like to be sure to pray for you as you start to explore these Bible studies. I was praying for you earlier, and I felt like I should find out if there's something specific that you could use prayer for. Is there something that I can pray about with you before I leave? And then I just wait and listen, empathize with them, give them a chance to share. And then after they share, and if they don't share, then say, great, no problem. I'll be back next week with your lessons. If they do share something, then I like to say, would it be okay to pray with you right now about that? And most of the time, 99% of the time, people say, yeah, I'd really appreciate that. So then I have a very short prayer with them. And it's very important that you make sure that you pray specifically about the thing they brought up. Don't pray for them and not mention the thing they ask you to pray for. That's just shows that you didn't listen and pay attention to them. So it's very important that you listen well and pray specifically about what they brought up. Then as soon as you're done praying, go ahead and say goodbye. I'll stop by next week and see how you enjoyed the studies, and I'll bring the next two. God bless. Then I wave and I leave promptly. Don't hang around. So this really is quite a short visit at the door. It's probably not more than about 5 minutes on this first initial contact. Now, some of you might say, well, what if they say, I thought this was an online Bible study? And I've had some people, not many, but I've had a few ask that question. And I simply have responded to them by saying, we've found that what works best for people is to drop them off like this at your home. So that's simply how I respond, and people are fine with that. So that's the answer I give if they ask, they say, hey, I thought this was online. I just say, hey, we found that what really works best for people is to just deliver them like this. And that way we can help with any questions or anything like that. And so that's what we'd like to do. Okay. So what about that? That's the initial contact, the first contact. You've left the studies, they've accepted them, and they know that you're going to drop by in a week with the next two studies. So the long-term follow-up or communication strategy with them, go faithfully every week with the next two lessons. For the second visit, here's what I would suggest that you say, and this is what I've done. Hi, say hi, Bob. This is Byron from My Free Bible Study again with your next two lessons. And then I say, hey, how was this past week for you? I'm just trying to begin building rapport, showing interest in that person. How was this past week for you? And I wait, I listen, I empathize with them and respond appropriately to what they say. Then I follow up with, did you get a chance to go through the lessons I left last week? I wait for them to respond. Then I ask them, how did you find the lessons? Did they make sense to you? Did you enjoy them? And I wait for them to respond to that. And then I'll follow up with, do you have any questions about what you studied? Now, you're going to get a couple of responses here. One of the responses is, yeah, we studied the lessons. Then I like to say, that's great. Here are the next two lessons for you. I hope you enjoy them too. By the way, next time, we could share maybe a little bit more about what really speaks to each of us in these lessons, okay? So I'm beginning to set them up to move from just a few brief minutes at the door to a little bit longer of a conversation, and hopefully eventually being able to get into their home to sit down and spend a longer time with them talking about the lessons. So I like to say, hey, by the way, next time, maybe we can share a little bit more about what really spoke to us each in these lessons as we went through them, okay? And then after that, I simply say, just before I leave, I'd like to pray with you again. Is there anything in particular you'd like me to pray about? And again, follow that same process. Listen to what they have to say a short prayer, praying about the specific thing. And then I simply say, have a great evening, and I'll see you next week at the same time. And then I leave promptly. That's what I do if they've studied the lessons. If they did not study the lessons, what I like to say is, hey, I know life is busy, and I also know that you really wanted to do this too. Would it help if we studied the lessons together, or do you want to give it another try on your own this week? And I'll wait for them to respond. If they say to me, let me try this again on my own this week, then I say, hey, that's great. And just so it doesn't get overwhelming for you, why don't I hang on to these next 2 lessons until next week so that you can finish the first 2, and I'll bring them back with me when we touch bases next time, okay? And then after that, their response there, then I just wrap up the visit with the same process, asking if there's anything I can pray about with them, having prayer, and then leaving. If they say to me, it would help if we studied them together, then I like to say, that's great. Do you have a few minutes that you'd like to do that right now, or shall we plan for another time? And if they say to me, yeah, now is fine, then what I'll do is I'll step into the home with them, and I'll only spend about 15 to 20 minutes. I don't go through the whole lesson. I go through several questions with them. And then after 15 or 20 minutes, I say, see, do you see how this works now? I don't want to keep you any longer this evening. So why don't I have prayer with you and be on my way, and you can finish up the rest of the lessons before next week when I get back to you, okay? And so then I wrap up the visit for them. If they say, let's plan for another time, then I say, no problem about that. Would tomorrow evening work for you? Or is there another evening? So I right away follow up with them to set up the time. And if they say, well, tomorrow evening's no good, then I say, well, what would be a good time for you? And I just keep working with them to get to the place where we can make that appointment, set that time to go back and look at the lesson together. And then, of course, after we get that time set, I wrap up in the same way by asking them for prayer, telling them I'll hang on to the next 2 lessons until we see each other next time, and have prayer and go. Since our goal, like I said, is to get a weekly in-home Bible study going with these interests, by the 3rd visit, we want to try to be moving in the direction of getting to that in-home connection. And so if they've been doing them on their own and I've just been dropping them off at the door, what I say is, hey, Bob, I'm back again with your next 2 Bible studies. I don't hand them to them right at that moment, but I say, hey, I'm back again with your next 2 Bible studies. How are things going for you with the studies so far? And then I listen for their response. And then I say, if they say, hey, yeah, I'm really enjoying them and learning stuff, I say, that's great. I'd really love to hear more about some of the things you've learned. Could I sit down with you for just a few minutes and hear a little bit more, and maybe talk about some questions if you have any? So I'm just asking, I'm just beginning to open that door up gently to them, saying, hey, I'd really love to hear from you some of the things that you've learned. Do you have just a few minutes to sit down and could share with me a little bit? And so if they respond to that and invite me in, then again, I take that time to talk with them a little bit, but I don't stay more than 15 to 20 minutes, just make it short, wrap up the visit by praying for them, their specific prayer request. And then I just keep going back each week to build on that personal connection. And then hopefully, as it has in many cases, turns into a weekly sit down Bible study where you're spending more time going through the lesson, reviewing what they've studied on their own and answering questions. If a person never does the lessons that you come and are trying to drop off for them, you're never able to get into their home after 7 visits, or after you've dropped off a total of 14 lessons, you can stop going to their home. However, don't just drop them all together. This is a person who showed a lot of interest, enough interest to sign up for personal Bible studies. And so if they're not following through somehow when you're stopping by to visit, or maybe you're never catching people home, and so after a while you're starting to leave lessons at the door for them with a note, what I want to encourage you to do is add those names, their contact information, to your interest file. And then whenever you do an event at your church, a social event, a bridge event, any kind of a community sort of event, send them an email or a text message inviting them to come out. Give them a personal invitation via email or via text message to come out, because you never know when they're going to be ready to respond and when they're going to be activated and take that next step. If a person tells you they're not interested in continuing the studies, then you need to respect that and stop going to their home. However, once again, go ahead and add them to your interest file. And whenever you do an event at your church, like I just talked about, send them an email or a text message inviting them to come out. Because once again, we never know what the Holy Spirit is doing in people's lives and how they're going to respond. All right, thank you. I've tried to cover a lot of ground really quickly. I'm going to send it back to Sarah here to give you an interest tracker demo real quick.
Yeah, and Byron, I just want to thank you for, what you shared. And as somebody who came into the church as a young adult, I appreciate your approach that, works to establish trust and, moves towards relationship in a way that's very aware of the person and caring of the person. So I know that was really important to me as a young person, or young adult. And so anyways, I appreciate your approach and think that that's great. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we are going to view my interest tracker screen. Let me see if I can find where it went. Just 1 second here. Okay. And then we're going to do a quick demo. I'm going to run through it really quick. This is not going to be comprehensive. What I'm going to do here is show you how you can use Interest Tracker to further those relationships. This is a tool to move interests towards membership. So we're going to run through it really quick, and we'll send out some more comprehensive training afterwards. So right away when you log in, which if you don't already have an Interest Tracker account, we'll get you set up. But when you initially log in, you're going to see your dashboard here. It's going to give you a very quick glance at SMS messages, tasks, offer requests, your number of interests, if there's any new. So you'll be able to see that there. You'll also see a quick glance of that here. But as Byron had mentioned, this is really going to be successful as a team effort. So I'm going to jump first to user management and show you how to add your team members onto your Interest Tracker account. So you have your left navigation panel here. The ones that have a little arrow are going to have a drop-down menu to expand. We're going to jump to users. And to set up your team, it's going to be very simple. You click on the users, and I apologize that it's going really slow. And you're just going to click here to this add new user button. So once you click that, it's really just going to ask you for a few pieces of information. You're going to need somebody's name, you're going to need their email, and then you're going to need to assign their role. Now you'll see that you can establish, you can enter their phone number, you can establish a password for them, and they can change it once they're in. But the roles, you'll see down here at the bottom, there are 3 user roles that you can select from. Church admin, a coordinator, and a basic user. Church admin is going to have access to everything in Interest Tracker. The coordinator is going to have access to everything except being able to add, edit, or delete other users. And then your basic user is only going to have access to the interests that are assigned to them. So you're going to enter those 3 things, click save. The system is going to send them an email that lets them know they've been invited to Interest Tracker. They're going to click a link to establish their password, and then they'll be in the system and see whatever access their user level allows them to. So that's setting up your new users. Once somebody is set up, you're going to want to have them, or as a church admin, you can do this as well, but you're going to want to go in and set up their notifications. So right now we're just going to go into one of these here in our sample account, and you're going to see a quick view of the information there. And then if you scroll down, you'll see the user notification settings. And the ones I want to specifically focus on right now are these alert settings. You'll see there's when a new interest is assigned to them, a new task or to-do is assigned to them, new offer delivery. Those are all turned on by default. Somebody can turn them off, but we recommend them stay on. Those are not things you want to miss. This one here, new unassigned interest added. So if somebody is a church admin or a coordinator, this is going to be helpful to you in that this is how Interest Tracker is going to notify you when you have a new interest that is imported into the system that is not assigned to somebody. So those new Bible study requests, when they come in, this here is what will notify anybody that has that turned on. Our system will notify somebody through a different email, but this will allow you to set up whoever on your team needs to get those notifications. So that's all the time we're going to spend there. Once you're done setting those up, you just click save, and it will be set. Now, I want to jump over to interests. So you'll see, again, this expanded menu. There's a number of items here. We're going to go right to interest list. And once you're here, you're going to see all of your interests in your church account. Now you can change the number of entries that are shown here as you're starting out. The default at 50 will probably cover them all, but as you continue to grow your interest list, or maybe if you import a list in there, then you'll quickly exceed that, and we'll need to set that. You'll see you can change your column visibility right here. So if you click on this, you can change what columns are available to view on your view there. So you have a whole large selection there. You can add when they were added, when their last interaction was, their birthday, or an alternate phone number, zip code, any of that. So you can just add those. You select them, click outside the box, and it will add them. And then to remove them, you just do the same thing. You're going to remove any that you don't want to view, and then just click outside the box. You have your output button here. This will allow you to export your list by a number of different ways. So you can just copy it to a clipboard. That's helpful when you want to do a bulk email, export it to an Excel sheet, labels, all of that. Now, what we're going to do is have a quick view of an interest profile. So once somebody is imported into the system because they've responded to your Bible study ads, and I'm going to search one here that is a test person, they will be imported into the system, and it's going to assign tags to them automatically, which real quick, tags are used to sort your lists. You can use those to put people into groups. And so like if you have members that you import into here, you can tag them as members. Each of your leads that come in are going to be imported with LeadGenerator and Bible study interest tags. So you can always search by those as well. Anytime you click on a tag, it's going to sort your list. You'll see in the search by that tag. So you can search by a tag just simply by clicking on it. You can also search by name, by who it's assigned to, all of that. But I am going to not search through these 396 names, but instead go right to Sherry, who responded to an ad earlier today. And so we can see that she is here. She's tagged with Bible study interest and LeadGenerator. To view her profile, we can click view. You'll see this arrow here allows you to access some quick actions. So you can assign them to a user. We're going to go ahead and do that right now because again, you might have a coordinator coming in here and saying, you know what, Byron is going to be the best person to interact with this person. I'm going to assign it to Byron. Or maybe in this case, we say, you know what, Marnie is going to be the best person to interact with them. We are going to assign them to Marnie. And so then we are click save, and now Marnie is going to get a notification that says she has a new interest assigned to her because she has her notifications turned on for that. We're going to also go in here and view her profile. A number of the things we're going to look at, you can do from the arrow there, that little quick action. But you'll see the information that came in today, her phone number, email address, her age, and again, the tags here. I want to scroll down here to these items here. You're going to see the offer request right here. The theme of the ad you're going to see right here says God Cares. Bible study only. Now, again, I'm just going to mention what I did earlier. God Cares is not a specific Bible study. This is a theme of an ad. So again, we can use this to understand that they were drawn to this ad as somebody who is likely looking for more information on the character and the love of God. So using that to inform us as we go and visit them is helpful. Now, you'll see here also there's a note letting you know it was added by SermonView system as well as an interaction. Now, the difference between notes and interactions, a note is like more of an FYI. An interaction is something that is exactly what it was. It was some kind of interaction between you and the lead. Now, we are going to show here what you do with somebody once you have delivered their Bible study request, or once you've made contact with them or attempted that. So you can come over here to this deliver button. And once you click it, I just want to let you know this does not deliver them anything. This is for your information to let you know that that the task that somebody has made contact with them. So we're going to mark that action as today. It was delivered by Marnie, and we're going to put any delivery notes. Sherry accepted 2 studies. We'll plan to revisit in 1 week. And now we can add a follow-up as well. So this is going to make sure that nobody falls through the cracks. Again, this is a tool to help establish relationships, move towards a deeper relationship. We want to make sure that nobody is slipping through the cracks. So this is going to get assigned to Marnie. Now somebody can assign that to somebody else. They would get a notification of that. You can put details in if you need to. And then we're going to click deliver offer. Use this to communicate with your team. Make sure that any notes, if Sherry mentioned some struggles that she was having or some things that are going on in her life, feel free to put those in there. And then somebody else, if they need to make contact with her, or if she shows up to church some Sabbath, somebody's going to have some more information there to be informed when they communicate with her. Now you'll see that there is a task here. Once next week comes, she can click finish. That will move it to an interaction, and then you can set a new one. So okay, and then over here we are going to move down to to-do list. You'll see here there's this import button. Again, if you have an existing interest list, import them in here and start using that to track your interactions, assign them to team members, set follow-ups, all of that good stuff. But we're going to go to the to-do list. You can come in here. Again, you can see these up here. This was if there was a delivery that here, any notifications and SMS messages. Now the follow-ups here are going to, if somebody is a church admin, they're going to be able to see everybody's tasks because they have access to other users. You can click this to show completed follow-ups as well, and then it will show both. But you can look there for a quick glance of your upcoming tasks that you have to do. Now, I am going to go back to our interest list here and just quickly touch on SMS messaging. Now, as Byron mentioned, highly recommend going to the door, trying to make a personal connection. When you do need to communicate, most of us know this from our own personal experience and how we interact with technology. Text messages have a higher open rate. They have a higher response rate. It's like 90% compared to email, which is much lower. I don't have it off the top of my head, but so you guys, as part of your plan, are going to have SMS messaging. This is something that you can do through the system in here from somebody's individual profile. We're going to go into Kayla here, and you'll see that there is a text message bubble right here. If you click that send text message, it's going to open up a text field, and you can start typing a message, and you'll see the conversation there. We're going to go back to the interest list. And one of the things that you can do with the SMS messaging through the system is you can do bulk messages, which is a great way if you send out like a Friday encouragement, something that, you can send out inspirational messages from scripture. When you do, we always recommend having an opportunity to respond. So you might reference a Bible verse that lets them know that God is with them through the storm, or God hears us when we pray. And then you can add something like need prayer, or would you like to learn more, whatever, to the end of your message, and give an opportunity to respond. So you can either go through and click a couple of names, or all of the names, whatever. You can click the checkbox and it will check everybody. And then when you scroll down to the bottom, you're going to see this interest list management. This is going to allow you to do a lot of different bulk tasks. Right now, we're going to look at bulk message interests. And then you can put in a text message and send it out. You can also click this box to set it for a future date and time. So if you want to sit down on a Monday morning and schedule out the next 3 Fridays inspirational text messages, or maybe you're going to schedule it for Friday to invite everybody to a special service that you have on Sabbath, or a special event that you have going on, you can do that there. All right. And then I am not going to send this out because we are running long here, but what I do want to show you is that again, on the side navigation menu, this text message drop down menu, under the settings, you're going to be able to see the text message phone number, so you can hand that out to, there will be one that's unique to your church. So we'll get that set up for you, but you'll be able to hand that out as well. It's text messaging only, not a phone number. So if you do hand it out to somebody, they'll be able to reply to it. But if you do hand it out to somebody, make sure that they knows that that they can't call it. The configuration, you can set up custom fields through interaction types. Under the interactions, we can select whether it's a home visit, a phone call, email, whatever. There's a whole list there. You can add custom interaction types, custom fields, all of those things. And then custom tags as well, if there's any that aren't covered. And then the help articles, a whole lot of help articles in here to help you if you are not sure. how to navigate something in Interest Tracker, you can use the help article. And then this little ladybug here, if you happen to run into anything that's not working, our developers are always adding new features, things like that. If you just happen to run into something, you can send in a bug report. If there's a feature you'd like to see, send that in here. And then if there's something that you love, you can send that in with kudos, and we'll know that that's something that's getting some good use. So I am going to stop sharing my screen, and then Byron, do we have time for questions? I know that we're running longer than we had expected.
Yeah, I'm fine if people want to stay by. I'm good to stay by longer for questions if people are also able to do that.
Okay. All right, so we have one here. It looks like Lori has actually answered a whole lot of these. So do we have any questions that somebody wants to have addressed right now? Okay, it looks like a lot of these were answered live. If they're expecting a home visit, how many training sessions will be there, and is it scheduled so we can, as churches, we can plan for our members for the training. Was that, there will be additional training material sent out. We are going to do additional trainings, and then we'll send out some resources for referencing different trainings. We have a comprehensive training on Interest Tracker. We'll send out different materials with frequently asked questions. So we will get these put together and sent out to you as well. And then as the events come up, we're going to have some additional training for Attendance Tracker for the events. And then Byron, I don't know if you have anything else to add to that.
Well, I don't think at this point. I've been trying to keep track. It looks like we've got somebody with a hand up there, Ruben Carl. I don't know how, this is the first time I've done a webinar, so I don't know how we respond to that. But does he have to type that question in, and then or can people, how do we handle that, Sarah?
That is a great question. Let's just, okay.
I guess I can click allow to talk. Is that what I should do?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead, Ruben.
All right. Hey, guys, thank you so much for the meeting. Quick question. When people see the ads online, does SermonView ever have any plans in the future to possibly allow there to be an option for them to click if they specifically do want in-home Bible studies, or would that just possibly kill it altogether, the chance of getting in-home Bible studies if they clicked no?
Well, as far as whether we plan to offer that, really, we want all interactions to move towards in person. So churches, we give churches the reason we don't specify a specific study or a specific type of study method, whether that's online, in person, by mail, whatever, is because the system needs to be available for churches to do what works with their member base and their volunteer/staff. So, but ultimately, we really want those all to move towards in-person relationships. We hear from churches and conferences that are doing these that the most success they have is when a relationship is established. So like how Byron touched on, not just asking about their studies, but asking about them. These things are going to, find common ground, find things that you can relate together on. And if somebody, and I don't know if this is something that you guys are just saying, no, we don't want to do them for this program. If so, then I don't want to step into that area. But what I will tell churches that are offering online Bible studies is stay in contact with them, find ways to connect. And you're going to have to be more intentional when you're not in person doing that. You're going to have to find ways to open up yourself more instead of just waiting for them. They're, it's, oh, when I went through this study, this is something that really spoke to me, or this was something that was difficult for me to wrestle with it really, so I don't know if that answers your question, or if I just took this way out of what the goal was here, Byron. So I apologize if I did.
Yeah, no, that was great. Ruben, did that answer your question?
Yeah, basically. And then just a quick follow-up question, I guess, for you, Byron. I noticed online it says that there's different plans where you could get a minimum of 10 per month or 15 per month. Do you know what we have at this time?
Yeah, so we're offering two plans. First of all, we didn't want churches to get overwhelmed, and so what we've done is for rural churches in a smaller population base, they're on the plan to receive 5 Bible study leads a month. Churches that are in urban or suburban areas where there's a higher population base, they're on a plan to receive 10 Bible study leads a month.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's see. I saw looks like Raja's got his hand up, so can I it didn't give me the button to let him talk, and I think I delete. Are you there, Raja?
I saw him disappear from there. I don't know if
Here, I'm going to click that. Go ahead, Raja.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So when Nathan Krause approached me, I understand the Bible studies, following up Bible studies, but he said you are going to be the main, I don't know, person with the church to speak. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I'm going to be presenting, like, the series is going to be 15 messages long, 15 sessions, 30-minute presentations,
Okay.
covering Bible prophecy. I'm going to be presenting those in a live setting at a series of meetings with a local church.
Okay.
And we're going to be recording those for live stream or for later viewing. And so you will have that content. I won't be personally, I can't be at 20 churches, but I'll be providing that content via video for all the churches.
Okay, now I understand that. I couldn't quite understand when Nathan approached me what exactly that entailed. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Okay, and then it looks like we've got Granbury Clerk. Go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Okay. I guess my question was, is there, it's more, well, once again, thank you for the presentation you've given. It's been very good. But my question is, do we set the time that we're going to give that series of 15 meetings, or is there a schedule that you have that we have to meet? Or is this something that we can?
Right. I thought I had typed a response on that for you, but we're going to be recommending a specific window when that series would be presented by your church. We're kind of looking at dates. It's going to be in the spring. We're looking at March, April. We haven't just yet finalized the exact dates for that, but there will be a recommended window. But you'll have the flexibility at your church to decide how many nights a week you want to meet, what time you want to do it at, and so on. So you can contextualize for your situation when the meetings are actually aired.
Good. Okay.
Okay. Am I missing any other hands? I don't think so.
Can y'all still hear us on the other end there? Yeah.
Mhm.
We've got actually a big group here for our church. We're having the Wednesday night prayer meeting. So I wanted to, before we run off, give them a chance if there's other questions, if you don't mind.
Yeah, is that a Granbury there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Yeah, go ahead with your further questions, and then I see Ruben's got his hand up, and we'll catch him too. What should we plan as far as how much longer we can stay on here, Sarah or Lori?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, we'll probably want to wrap up for sure, by the end of the hour,
Okay.
but,
All right. So we got about 10 more minutes. Go ahead, Granberry.
Okay, I misspoke. Oh, we got one more here, so stand by.
Hello, Barwin. Wanted to know when would be an appropriate time to segue into the Seventh-day Adventist Church as the church that's you're a member of, presenting them the Bible studies to the individuals.
Yeah, that's a great question. What my policy is to be transparent. And so if a person asks that question, I answer it whenever they ask it. I don't, try to skirt it or try to avoid it. If they ask it on the first evening, the first time I'm making contact, I'll tell them that I personally fellowship with the Seventh-day Adventist Church. But these are just Bible-based studies that they'd enjoy regardless of what their faith community might be. So that's how I handle that. I hope that takes care of your question.
Yeah, and your feature that allows us to send out coming up events messages is a good feature too. That would also introduce them to the church.
Exactly.
yes, absolutely.
And I think that was all from us, so I'll mute.
Okay, perfect. Go ahead, Ruben.
Hey, quick question again. So I read that the part of the $6,000 would be for the mailing. So could you just elaborate on that? Would SermonView have a designed mass mailing based off the prophecy seminar you'll do, and we just plug in the dates on when we'll do it, or how would that work?
That's right. And maybe someone in SermonView wants to speak to that. But yes, SermonView will be working with every individual church to customize their marketing campaign for their time, their location, their dates. The things that won't change, my picture will be on there, and also a picture of the local host if you want to do that. So we'll have those two things. The series titles and the message titles and things that'll stay consistent, but everything else will be personalized specifically to your location.
Yeah, and
Okay,
we'll
thank you.
work with each church. We'll reach out, as that gets closer, and work with you to, determine maps and all of that. So.
Okay, I've got Temple SDA. You got your hand up. Go ahead.
Yes, I just had a question. So, you gave guidance in reference to gender, right? So if it's a female study interest, you would ideally send out 2 women or a husband and wife combo. But I was just curious if if you have experience or have sort of any ideas about the age and sort of bridging generational gaps. So is there a benefit, or have you noticed a difference at all or anything like that in sending somebody, who may be in their 60s to somebody who's in their 30s, or vice versa?
Yeah, so the quick answer to that is anytime that you can do your best to match, that is obviously ideal. However, there are many contexts when we can't, because we have our team of people that are able to give their time, and that might be 3 teams, it might be 2, it might be 4, and they might be a certain age or whatever. So we just do the best that we can with what we have. But anytime if you can send a younger team to younger people, that's always better. Yeah, as best as you can reflect what the Bible study interest is in terms of gender, demographic, age, ethnicity, all those sorts of things. It does help if you can. But otherwise, I want to encourage you guys, don't worry about that. Don't be intimidated if you say, hey, this is our team and wow, we can't meet all these needs, because here's the bottom line. You're going there in response to that person's desire. They're reaching out, and the Holy Spirit is going with you, and the Holy Spirit will do things in that context and in that situation to help make connections, to help you know how to respond. He adds the divine component to this that makes everything work if you're just available and you're just humble and you're just prayerful.
Hey, one more follow-up question here from Temple. You mentioned possibly doing the series. You said March, April. We're still working on the dates. When will the actual Bible lead generations begin? So at what point would we expect to start seeing those Bible study interests come our way?
Yeah, you're going to begin to see that at the end of this week, probably Friday or by first of next week. They're going to be dropping for you.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, Ruben, you're going to squeak in under the wire here. Go ahead, man.
Thank you so much. Did I read correctly that these interests would be coming in with like within a 3-mile radius of the church or something of that nature?
No, it's going to, the target area is going to be determined based on zip codes. So there will be, each church has zip codes around their area that we've put together. And those are, you know, I mean, there's still, I mean, they're designed to be around the church, the area that your church services. And so, although we still have, in some cases, flexibility with that, in others, you know, if it's going to run into, I mean, I don't think any of them are too close to another church that's going to be an issue, but yeah, it will be wider than a 3-mile radius. That 3-mile radius that I think that you are referring to has to do with, lead disputes. And so, if you get a lead that's outside of your area, you can send that back to us and we'll take it off your number of guaranteed leads. We don't expect that to happen often, but it can happen if somebody from outside of your area travels into your target area, or if somebody from within your target area sees the ad and clicks the share button and sends it to somebody outside of the area. So, in those cases, we have an online form you can send it back to us in, but that 3-mile radius, what that says is if it's within 3 miles of one of your zip codes, then just based on, you know, I mean, it's, you know, based on somebody seeing it on Facebook, and, you know, Facebook can only, you know, be so perfect. So, so that's where that 3-mile allowance comes in.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Temple, back to you.
Yeah, so kind of following up on that, we are actually relocating our church location about 6-7 miles from where we're currently at. We would like to target that new location. Can we work directly with you guys to kind of plug in some of those zip codes just to make sure we're hitting that particular area?
Yes, please do. So, yeah,
Do
and
it
in
right
fact,
away.
yeah,
Do it right away.
if you want, I don't know, I'm trying, if you're the pastor there, as the pastor that I have listed on my sheet, I can reach out to you. If you're not, just email me at sarah@sermonview.com, or I can get your information from Byron.
This is a pastor speaking, so it's Rodney Garcia, and you can reach out to me, but I'll try to reach out to you tomorrow morning as well and get you that info.
Okay. Okay, perfect. I'm writing a note. Perfect. So I'll look for some information, or I'll look for a phone call or email from you, and then if I don't, I'll be in touch with you regarding that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And I
Okay.
do want to put up here, I'm going to share real quick a slide that's just going to have our contact information on it, so that somebody doesn't have to try and remember that. But if you
Sarah, before you sign off here, let me take one more question. This will be the last question that we can take, and then I'm going to let Sarah wrap up, and then I can have a closing prayer. Go ahead, Granberry. Did you unmute?
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
It was my understanding that we're going to be on target for 5 new leads every month for a full year. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct.
So are there any other events past this one that's supposed to come in the spring? Or is that the main gist, is the leads, the Bible studies, and this evangelism series that is coming in the spring? Is there
That-
a schedule of with anything else on it?
That's a great question. So what we're doing is we're running this the spring cycle, and we're doing a series in the spring cycle, and then the leads continue. But then we're going to learn from this spring cycle, and then we're going to repeat it in the fall. So there will be another fall event that your church will be participating in and gearing up for and building towards. And if you are wanting to do other sorts of community bridge events in between, that is possible as well. So in other words, you can customize, if like some churches, they've already got evangelism plans and things that they want to do. Those are not mutually exclusive. If you're participating in this, that doesn't mean you can't do other things that can dovetail and feed into the process that we're embarking on together here as well. Okay, that will need to wrap up that. I'm going to turn the time back to Sarah for her closing remarks, and then I'll close with prayer.
Yeah, thank you everybody for taking your time to join us tonight. Go ahead and take down the phone number, email address. Please reach out if you have any questions. And like Byron said, you can expect to start seeing some information coming regarding leads before long. And you're going to get some information from us prior to receiving that, but it will likely be shortly before that. So just keep an eye out for that. And yeah, we're looking forward to seeing how this grows Texas Conference. So.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you to each one of you that tuned in this evening. Let me pray for you. And if you have further questions, please feel free to, like I said, reach out to SermonView, and they will pass questions on to me that need to be answered by me, and we'll be happy to help you with that. We just need to be sensitive to our time. Let's bow our heads. Lord God, I'm excited about what you're going to do with this group of churches and people who have hearts for you, with SermonView and Texas Conference and the partnership that the churches and SermonView and Texas Conference are embarking on. I pray again that you will keep us teachable and humble, that you will use us, and that you will pour out your Spirit upon what we're doing and guide us so that what we do will be effective for growing your kingdom and helping people into a personal relationship with Jesus. Bless us, bless each church, each pastor, and each lay member who's going to be participating in this. And we thank you for hearing this prayer, and we trust you for great things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Good evening, everybody. God bless you. I'm excited to be on this journey with you, and we'll communicate and help with questions, whatever we can do. Have a great evening.
Good night.